How to investigate 9/11? Well, I like to look at it through simplistic terms of 9/11 being a crime, in which it was. And how does one go about investigating a crime? Well, you have to act like a proper investigator, or how a detective would. And there are 5 questions. The 5 questions to ask are who, what, when, where, and why. And instead of starting right off the bat insinuating who could have been involved or what could have happened, I instead tell you to look at it from multiple advantages here. There are a multitude of things that you could start with, but start with, of course, the hijackers. Hijacked these planes. Who were these hijackers? Where did they come from? What's their backgrounds, their profiles? What type of motivations do they have to commit this act? Whether it be through personal reasons, ideology. What type of ideology did they have? And once you look into the backgrounds, profiles of these people, you notice that they have different types of motivations regarding why they did this, but there is a unifying ideological belief that tied all of these people together, at least for most of them anyway. And that is Wahhabi Islam. And now we have to investigate what is Wahhabi Islam? What is a Sunni? And what is a Shia Muslim? And what are the ideological differences? Because you can't just say that, oh, they were Muslims and they hated our freedoms. That's not necessarily the case, or even the truth in this matter. And to investigate these religious profiles, you'll understand that it all ties into the foreign policy of the Middle East. And why does this involve the United States? How does this involve the United States in certain Arab countries? Who are the United States allies and enemies? And then you'll also get to a proper understanding of why we're involved in the Middle East. There are certain different agendas and motivations for the United States to be in the Middle East. Is it just oil? Is it to defend certain countries? Is it for military expansionism? Is it for global domination? Also, who are our allies and enemies in the Middle East? Our allies are basically Israel and Saudi Arabia. We have tentative friendships with Egypt, Pakistan. And it goes into the subject of 2 countries, Israel and Saudi Arabia. So Israel, why does the Arab world have a conflict with them? What is the primary ideological foundation for Israel? What is the ideological background of the government of Israel? How does that differ with most within the country? How does that affect the relationship with other Arab countries? Who are Israelis' allies and enemies? Saudi Arabia. How did the United States become an ally to this country? What is their ideological foundation, which is basically Wahhabism? What is the purpose of the United States to have a relationship with this country if they gave us Wahhabi Islam to the world, which is causing most of the terrorism organizations? What are the benefits and what are the detriments of being friends with Saudi Arabia and Israel? After that, you'll get into the intelligence apparatuses who were investigating this crime of 9/11 and pre and post. Start with the domestic intelligence agencies, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. How did they involve themselves into 9/11? Who were following the hijackers? Who were monitoring them? From where and to where? Foreign intelligence, Pakistan ISI, Israeli Mossad, Saudi GID, the Mukhabarat. Were they following the hijackers? And from what point and to where? How were they involved with the 9/11 terrorist attacks? Domestic military, NORAD, domestic flight agencies like the FAA, regulations, rules, were they followed? Why didn't NORAD defense planes intercept these hijackings from hitting their targets? And then post 9/11, what was wrong with the investigations that followed from the FBI, from the 9/11 Commission? What was the information that was missing from the investigations? So that's a lot to background for you. It's a lot to uncover instead of delving into the speculative notions that are rampant in the 9/11 roundtable, if you will. And so if you look at 9/11 through an investigator's eyes, you'll notice that there's a lot of opportunities for you to learn and to investigate. It isn't just about 19 men and hijacking 4 planes. That's just the precept. That's not the starting point either. The starting point has to be up to you and how far back you want to go. Because with every point in history, there is a beginning time point as well. So how do we solve this crime? Well, through careful, independent research and through looking at 9/11 not through a prejudicial lens or a lens that is influenced by a certain worldview. You have to look at the events of September 11th, how a detective or an investigator would look at a crime. You start with the evidence, and then you could look at to filling in the lack of evidence, if there is, instead of just guessing and scratching your head and then making speculative notions about who was involved and how the crime was involved. That's not how you look at a crime. And one has to be responsible for his own work.